Hello friend fans, CoProLol15 here, and this video was a long time coming. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, but I just wanted to give myself as much time to recover from the literal harassment and cyberbullying I've been facing, and to give myself as much courage as I can to push through. The last time I made a video like this, I got too angry and I didn't tell the whole story. A simple Google Doc would do no justice. Telling it in a YouTube video seems to be the best way to properly address it. To put this whole story in a nutshell, I was manipulated and bullied by a group of users into being a person I absolutely hated, as well as to just being myself. Staying away from them is not enough anymore. It is time to tell the story. The community in particular is the Tonio force, and while there are good people, the main characters are me Tonio, Diego177, Chamzilla, Thomas Cole Gross, Little Curbs, Lorenzo, Deadmau5 Awesome, along with trolls I don't want to give attention to. I'll also state that I know for a fact I'm not the only victim, and I hope this video will give other victims the courage to speak out. It all begins on May 19th, 2024, when I was still under my old alias Cole King, and in my recommended, I discovered a live stream of Fall Guys by a user with the name of me Tonio. I joined in, and I should have known that it was a red flag from the beginning. I witnessed a user by the name of Star Loves Me's being the target of harassment by Little Curbs, Diego177, and Deadmau5 Awesome, who was a mod for me Tonio. On my Cole King account, which has long since been deleted, I say, "Be nice to Star," a quote that has kind of stuck with me to this day, and Deadmau5 Awesome called me a simp. However, it gets worse on June 27th, 2024, when me Tonio does a 6-hour long live stream. In the beginning, I try to get people to be nice to Star, and I stupidly pretend to have a crush on Star, a joke that I officially discontinued in a DM with Star herself in September, with the ignorant belief that that'll stop the harassment targeted towards her. However, that expectedly led to the belief that I was a simp for Star, which I will say again was a joke with the belief that will stop the harassment targeted towards her. However, Deadmau5 Awesome will tie me out eventually, but not before sending Star an actual death threat. Initially, I thought that the timeout was because of a Star thing, so I stopped. But Deadmau5 Awesome must have really disliked me because he would tie me out the second he got wind it was in me Tonio streams in the future. And I tried to get me Tonio to revoke Deadmau5's mod status in the form of a Google Doc. However, he refused and released a long since deleted post that failed to properly address everything. me Tonio just dismissed the whole thing as being sensitive, and Deadmau5 being a mod under the basis of me Tonio trusting him to the max. I heard later on that Deadmau5 being a mod was because he saved me Tonio's channel from termination. That does not change the fact that he was abusing his mod role and punishing those for no reason. Eventually, me Tonio did see Deadmau5 Awesome as being bad news, and finally revoked his mod role, and that story eventually had a happy ending. But at the end of the year, I would become a major target for cyberbullying, trolling, and harassment at the hands of me Tonio and a majority of his homies, as he describes them. I would join Discord officially in August of 2024, the same month I made my current official YouTube channel. In the beginning, my friendship with them was healthy and happy, but it wouldn't take long before all of that would change. December 10th, 2024, in Chamzilla's Discord server The Monster House. It begins with user MaxIDK2024 saying something stupid, and when I join in, I'll get spammed with Sigma CoPro emojis, which has happened quite a few times prior. This goes on for a bit, but I give up trying to get them to stop. Why I chose to not leave at that point is beyond me, as this is where things got worse. Star says this, I say this, and something in me Tonio's, Curbs's, Cole's, later Chamzilla's, Diego177's, and Lorenzo's mind clicks. They think that's the equivalent of me crushing for Star. That message shared by Star was treated as like it was a life-destroying tweet. Somehow my actual dad gets involved in conversation, which brought into the conversation for literally no reason. Sigma CoPros come back, and then another team are trying to milk the CoPro X Star thing for what it's worth. As stated before, this joke has long since ended for me in September, and the only reason they still think that CoPro X Star is still a thing is because they themselves kept it going and I gave in to it, albeit begrudgingly. And let's not forget the Star shaming. Disgusting things have been said towards her, and I have no idea why Star tolerated it. When Tonio said Star works at Hooters as a stripper, Curb said she does it for me. But here we get to a more deranged part of the story. I call Star's dog Dublin cute, and somehow that turns into me wanting to rape Dublin, steal him, want him, all because I called him cute. Many times in the story, Copro X Star was still getting brought up, even going as far as there being official roles for me X Star, by me Tonio himself. Oh, and when I joke around, apparently that's not okay. That's another reason to call me out. The jokes I've said are absolutely nothing compared to your jokes, like when Curb says that he nutted to me, which at the time made me feel deeply uncomfortable, and I do believe that falls under sexual harassment. But that's a joke? The hypocrisy is what makes this story all the more frustrating. Cue more hypocrisy and Copro X Star joke milking. This happens many times. I never brought the Copro X Star joke in this entire conversation. It all started because Star said her mother liked my accent. How is that Copro crushes for Star? And while I find it increasingly frustrating, to me Tonio, that's an absolute knee slapper. And it was at that point where I lose my cool, because the Tonio force kept bringing it up over and over and over again, followed by hypocrisy and them having the nerve to pin the blame on me. When Star brings up the fact I always say be nice to her, I provide context on how the quote came into existence, and apparently that's me bringing up the past, and context has nothing to do with it. Pretty ironic for you guys to be saying that. Then Tonio says this. Dude, just because Star takes the jokes lightly doesn't make them at all okay. I think get increasingly fed up, but they don't care, and they try to justify why they do what they do before bringing it up yet again. At this point, Shamzilla, the owner of the server this whole thing was taking place in, comes in with this. I categorically did not say that I love Star sexually in Angelic Server VC. This claim is completely fabricated. Another example of Tonio Force's manipulation. And me saying that to Jesse? No way in hell. Me and Jesse spoke to each other, and even then, I've said absolutely nothing that could be considered as such. As for Marley, the simping was geared towards her own OC at the time, Marley Andreas, whom has long since been renamed to Cassie, and even then, I lost interest a few months after that. Unfortunately, this sexual claim becomes a fact, coupled with a paedophilia accusation based on an out-of-context image and me unintentionally making the user and the message uncomfortable by calling her very nice. I do apologise if I ever made you uncomfortable when I said that, Caitlin. That was not, nor was it ever, my intention. And the Tonio Force manipulate me into admitting the blatant lie into being actually true, and they just completely cut me off. After December 10th, 2024, the Copro bullying train didn't end. In fact, it continued. Accounts were made to deliberately bully me, with one even DM spamming me porn on Discord. I'm not joking. In fact, it seems like everyone was against me. I was trapped in this cycle of cyberbullying. Here we get to a fairly minor, but still noteworthy thing. Isaac Craft would make a post featuring one of his Mies, Gustavo, fighting one of Diego 177's Tomodachi Life kids. In comments, I replied to Isaac, telling him, and that's funny, is it? I was asking him if he found it funny, because I didn't, and I certainly don't. However, Diego and Kyle Buella misinterpreted it as me finding child abuse funny. Diego made this me photo with Kyle Buella saying it to me. Kyle has long since apologised to me, and we are now friends. I have forgiven him since, because again, this was a misinterpretation. But here's where we get to probably the final major part of this Copro cyberbullying train. I joined one of Rivetman's live streams, as he was one of the only people who didn't believe the manipulated lies targeted towards me, and one of the troll accounts made to accusing of something for GC, again a minor I barely told you in the first place and even then said nothing inappropriate, and Star. What's even more frustrating is Curbs, Tonio and Chamzilla defending this account and Rivik doing nothing to stop it. And here we are today, troll accounts trying their best to paint me as some kind of loser who does nothing but prey on minors and goon to females, trying to make me feel uncomfortable. That's not me at all. I'm not a pedophile. I have an outside life and I have internet friends who are minors, and they will most definitely deny any allegations of me being inappropriate with them. In fact, I tend to watch how I say something as I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. That's pretty much how the story ends, but before I go, I have to strongly stress I'm not innocent either. I have done things absolutely worthy of questioning, mostly from manipulation and peer pressure. It's easy to manipulate me to do things, even though I don't think they're okay. I'm a pushover. I have now fled the Tonio Force. after many years of OCD doubt, and I ask other victims to do the same. You lot deserve much better lives. Before this video ends, I want to point out that under no circumstances should you seek out and harass anyone mentioned. Don't add fuel to the fire, it'll only make things worse. If the Tonio force happen to see this video, don't believe anything the main perpetrators say. As mentioned many times in this video, they're manipulative hypocrites. I will also say that not everyone in the Tonio force is bad. I've met some good people there, but it's time for me to move on permanently. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!